All right, welcome back to the Shop Class Podcast. Tonight we got a super special roundtable discussion, kind of a review. Last summer, I was out in California and I did a project at the EVLC, which is the Electric Vehicle Learning Center. As you can see on the screen, a whole bunch of people got together, students, volunteers, and we did a gas to electric conversion in a very short amount of time. We're lucky enough to be joined by some of the members of that group. So tonight we got Mike Norins right there, and he's a volunteer of the Electric Vehicle Learning Center. And Ali is one of the student volunteers, and he participated the whole time doing wiring and whatnot. And we also have Omar. Omar's out in San Diego, and he was a major participant in converting it over. Kevin is joining us. He's an EV fan, but he wasn't part of the project, but he's interested in our process, how we got there, and how we compressed it into such a short amount of time. We got Roy. He's a shop teacher in the Southern California area. And joining us now, we also have Kevin Lieberman. Kevin's a volunteer. He's a Harley Davidson engineer, but he's big into EVs. And we have our regulars. There we go. Right. We got Duke Lazowski, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, middle school shop teacher. How you doing?
Good. All
right. And we got Tim Zvacki. He's a shop teacher in Warren County, New Jersey. And kind of the head honcho of the EVLC is Brian Bender. And so we're going to ask him a couple questions. So Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Ron.
All right. So I think the format of the show will be basically mostly about the people, but we're also going to cover the project and the people's background and how they got to where they're at. It's kind of a reunion and an overview. So thanks for everybody joining in. But let's start with Brian. Brian, we're going to ask you the big question that we ask all our guests, and Duke's going to take away. Go ahead, Duke, ask him the question.
Yeah, Brian, nice to meet you. We heard a lot about the EVLC on the podcast before.
Awesome. I love it for having me.
Yeah, cool. First question, Brian, did you have shop class growing up?
You know what? In high school, I did have a shop. Of course, my mic mutes right when I start talking. That's just for the suspense. So I did have a shop class in high school, and it was quite a while ago, but I remember I got really good at tearing down a transmission and put it back together. I specifically remember that, but I did take it one semester in high school. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Nice. That's good. It must have made an impression because you're dealing with vehicles.
Yep.
And just to jump ahead, I know that you're a pilot now, but you also do mortgage brokerage. And
yep.
Can you tell us a little about your latest career thing? You're doing. You're a pilot now.
I am a pilot. So I've been at 38 years old. I kind of had this epiphany where I was really good at mortgages, and that was kind of the only thing I knew how to do, and did that for 20 years. I'm like, I need to learn stuff. So one of the projects I dove into was EVLC, and then at the same time I started flying planes, which I had never been around aviation, never been in a small plane, and just kind of dove in head first. And those two things in my life kind of started at the same time and have been growing at the same time. And just recently fortunate enough to get hired on to fly professionally for a place in Las Vegas. So I fly Pilatus PC-12 all over the West Coast, and in my free time run my mortgage company and help with EVLC.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's a pretty exciting life there. You do a lot of stuff. So what is the EVLC and how did this thing get started? Oh,
I have a question though before we get started.
Sure.
We talk about a lot of electric vehicles. We had the electric, 18-wheelers, electric cars, electric trucks. Do they make electric planes?
They're starting to. Right now, there's a few different manufacturers out there. They're doing VTOL. and they're making trainers. So right now, I think the best they have is a plane that can run for an hour, which is perfect for the training environment. So you can go and just do patterns, laps in the pattern for training for private pilot's license training. You get about an hour, and then you got to go back down. It charges about 15 minutes. So you could actually do all of your airport environment training in an electric plane, which is awesome. So that's pretty much here. It's just not fully adopted yet. It's going to take a while to adopt. And the VTOL stuff is pretty cool because I think air taxi, that's really bringing urban air taxi to life, which is pretty neat. So they are out there, not fully adopted. The FAA, just like everything in aviation, is take forever to get it, approved and all that fun stuff. But it's out there. A lot of cool stuff.
Interesting. That's a good question.
Great question.
Yeah. Nice. So, and what is the EVLC? And how did this come about?
So the EVLC is the Electric Vehicle Learning Center, and it was an idea that Margarita and I had at my dinner table in San Diego in 2019. I said, I have this vision. I grew up as a Boys and Girls Club kid. I don't know if anyone in here knows what Boys and Girls Club is, if you have one in your area, but I was a club kid. Single parent household, and after school, my mom was still working. My brother and I needed somewhere to go, so we didn't go cause problems somewhere. So the Boys and Girls Club would come pick us up in a van from school, and we got to hang out there for a few hours. So doing that my whole childhood, I got involved as an adult in Boys and Girls Club boards when I lived in Hawaii, and then when I lived in San Diego. And I liked the fact that they offered sports and playing pool and just kind of playing after school. But I had this vision of having something like that where kids can come and be in a safe place, but actually learn something that might help their future outside of sports and outside of just playing. So I had a desire. I found Michael Bream and Evie West on YouTube, like probably a lot of people in here did. And I was like, you know what? I want to convert a VW bus, and drove to a shop one day, and he helped me figure out all the parts for my bus and what it would cost. And driving home that day, I had an idea. I was like, you know what? Maybe Michael would be interested in doing like an after-school program for kids using this EV platform and conversion platform. So I drove back out there about a week later, and I said, hey, I have this crazy idea. What if we made a school, and we were in the same building or same complex, and we brought kids in here and we taught them how to do this? And he's like, I'm in. I was like, I don't have details. It's just an idea. And immediately he's like, I'm in. And here's 2 other people that I think could help us. And I went back home that day and met with Margarita, because she was helping me. She's a project manager, so she knows how to get ideas and organize them and kind of get your steps going so you can move forward. And so I sat down with her, and she's like, okay, here's what we have to do. And I was like, well, how about you get involved too? And she's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. So Margarita, myself, Michael Bream, and 2 other people, Adam and Marshall, sat down, and we created a board and started. We got some first round of funding and got space next to Evie West, and we were off and running. And then 20 days after we got our keys at EVLC, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if this idea was going to go anywhere. I mean, everyone remembers what it was like, especially the first 30 days. I mean, everyone was stuck in their house. It was doom and gloom, and we literally had just got these keys. And
wow.
So we
how many days after? 20 days?
Yeah, we got our keys. No, I think it's 14 days. We got our keys March 1st. I think 2 weeks to flatten the curve was March 14th or something around that time. So
and it's supposed to be in-person classes.
Yes. So thank God we met Ron, and Ron was like, don't worry, we got this. We're going to do Zoom. We're going to do something. And we partnered up with SAE and got this little kit shipped to us, and we shipped them out to kids that were friends of family. And Ron started doing these classes for us, and to get kids engaged and get some programming going. And man, that was like 18 months of just testing and trying things out. And what we really found at the end of the day, the kids they had Zoom fatigue. They were in Zoom school all day, and then they were joining us for, another hour to do everything via Zoom. So we didn't get a lot of traction, but at least we're doing something. Oh yeah, and that's think that's Ron's first summer with us.
Yeah, I was just coming to check it out and teach some classes, and literally just comes from volunteering,
Yeah.
and so I try to explain what's the what it was. And, I was just showing that it's the same as like a little EV, like a little scooter, only bigger,
Yeah.
And so I was like pointing, I was like, oh, the batteries over here, the same as the batteries over here. So, and, they have these big, EV West makes big toys, basically. And so I was like, the same thing. Let's go to the board and look at it.
And this was amazing. And because
Mike.
every time. So what had happened is, since nobody could come visit our space, nobody was still comfortable being around other people. So we didn't have any programming, and I'm not an expert in this at all. So it wasn't like, hey, I'm this EV expert. I just had an idea, and I know that there's smart people out there. And my goal was to just get these smart people to come in and help us out. And Ron was the first of one of those, and Kevin and Tom and a lot of other people in this room. So I was going around, since I didn't have any idea what to do, I was just going around and buying Razor scooters and carts on OfferUp. And a lot of times I would ask him, hey, would you donate it? We don't actually have any money. And half the time I get it for free. And so we had this shop full of all these broken Razor scooters. And that was the perfect platform to start teaching the kids, because it's a motor, controller, throttle, battery, all the components. And the goal was to, if you ask a kid, hey, do you want to come after school and do science? 9 out of 10 kids would be like, no, thanks, not interested. But if you say, hey, do you want to come and ride scooters and go-karts and skateboards? Absolutely. So kind of trick the kids into learning. That was the goal, was to trick them into learning.
Yeah, there you go.
And it worked. All the toys worked. And so that was the last 2 or 3 years. And then as our community grew and these volunteers grew, all these people started coming around from San Diego and even different cities, and they're like, hey, we want to help. What can we do? And gosh, last year we had 4 adult conversion programs that actually generated revenue for EVLC. And because it's been 100% volunteer from March 2020 until 2 months ago, we have our first paid position. And when I say volunteer, I mean hundreds of volunteers, probably at least 150 volunteers over the last 3.5 years. So just amazing that the community that EVLC has manifested, and just the gracious people and smart people that have come in to help keep this dream alive. Just pretty awesome. So yeah. That's a long-winded answer to your simple question, Ron. I don't know if you have any other particular questions or.
No, that was it. We want to know that kind of gave us the beginning, and it's not easy, and it really comes from the volunteers. Even though we run the classes are taught by volunteers, and so it's an amazing place because it's right in the same parking lot as EV West. So EV West has all these people that want to participate, but that's a for-profit business, so there's only so much you can do besides maybe ask questions and then maybe buy something. But if you wanted to be a part of something and you're not doing it yourself and you want to do it with a community, the EVLC is your community right there. It's the Electric Vehicle Learning Center. It really should be community, community center. And so I really started because EV West was my supplier, and I got to know Michael Bream through that over the last 10 years or more. And then we became friends, and then I met all the staff there. But then when you opened up the EVLC, it allowed me to spend more time in California learning and doing more EV projects. So it really opened the door. And then I got to meet all these other people that have like-minded ideas, Mike Noren, Ali, Omar, Kevin, and we even have Tom Summers in the house, and so all these people, I didn't really know them before the EVLC. So the EVLC kind of opened up the door to all these electric vehicle enthusiasts and people that want to share knowledge and stuff. And so we also have, Keanu, I don't know if he's in here yet, and Kevin stopped by. And then we also have, and also Kevin Lieberman, obviously. There's 2 Kevins in the room, by the way. And and Kevin Lieberman, he's awesome. He's like an engineer, but he's like so into the DIY. So he's great to have around. And then we also have Talik, who's very good at like telling the story. So he's charge positive. So just all these people coming together, it's an incredible thing. It's like, it's funny because I had parent, everybody knows I'm a shop teacher. So we had parent teacher night here, and the parents came in the workshop, and this is just part of it. There's the electric vehicle we have from years ago. And we also have a Lotus 7 that we're halfway through the build. And then we have automated CNC machine and whatnot. And one of the, and we also have welding and stuff. So the parents were like, man, I want to take this class. And I was like, I know, I want to take this class too. That's why I got the job here, And so, so that's what the EVLC does, is it opens the door to the adults and the kids who didn't get to take shop class. And there's no focus in the shop class on electric vehicles. So this is the electric vehicle focus, but it's also basically a community shop class, in a way. So Brian, that was really good. Okay, so I want to also introduce the people that came in late, and then I want to get to the project. Like, how do we do this? Brian, anything you want to add to that before we move to the next piece?
I think you tied it together. What I wanted to add, because not all I think less and less school districts can afford shop classes now, or they're just one of the first things they're cutting. And it's crazy because it just brings so many different skills to a student, and it really gets students' attention. Like me, I hated every other class really except that class, because I actually get to work with my hands, and I learn better that way rather than sitting in a English class, reading, or I don't know, something. I just would lose focus in a classroom in general. So EVLC for us.
Oh, your mic.
The goal is to have this for students and or adults that just didn't have access to that, or don't have access to it, so they can have this place to come and be a part of the community. So yeah, that's just another thing I want to add there.
And and we forget someone, I apologize ahead, but there's so many people that are contributing to this. Michael Bream, Evie West. We also have Mike Noren does research and development of like testing equipment, and then he just shows up and he's like, let me see if I can help you here. So it's amazing the people that show up, and he's cruising around on some electric DIY thing right now. I don't even know what that thing is.
It's a jazzy scooter, little mobility scooter.
Oh my God, of course. So, and then we also had, believe it or not, somebody who works for Hunter Sprinklers. Does that ring a bell with anybody? Hunter Sprinklers. The manufacturing and the R&D and the entire vertical integration of the manufacturing is right in the same parking lot as EVLC. And so we had Jesus, who is a manufacturing engineer, and he just like popped in, and he's like, oh, okay, I can help you out with the wiring and stuff like that. So it's pretty amazing. Speaking of versatile people, we got Peter popping in. Peter Molinaires representing Canada, Toronto. And he's done everything. This guy's done everything from roofing to machining. And he's just a supporter of the Shopcast podcast. So it's an amazing amount of people that are involved. And Margarita is sort of the unsung hero here. She, I don't even know what that saying means, but basically she's underrated. She really does pull the community together. So, we don't have her here tonight, but she's represented. Okay, so let's talk about this project. And then we can go around and ask people what they thought and what their roles were. So this project was kind of a crazy idea. And I don't actually remember how the idea got started. I might actually turn it over to Tom and Kevin and ask them, how did this get, they're fighting with the camera over there, but how did this get started? Brian, do you remember how this idea got started of a summer quick conversion?
Well, I know Tom had this bus, and he had mentioned he had the parts and was ready to go for quite a while. And so we were looking for the opportune time to get a group of people together to do it. And so it had been on the list of projects to do, and was moving further and further up the list. And it was just figuring out how we do the resources. And you were like, hey, I'm coming for the summer. So then everything just started to line up. Like, okay, Tom's bus is ready. We got the parts. Can we do it this summer? And I thought it was a crazy idea. And I'm like, there's no way you guys are going to convert a bus in the summer. And boy, was I wrong.
Well, it wasn't so easy, but basically, I knew that, I had set up my life structure that summertime means I'm in California, either doing something with the EVLC or doing something with some electric vehicle project in San Diego, because it's kind of an epicenter. So I knew that. And then when I don't know who contacted me first, but someone called, I don't remember at this point, but someone asked me, oh, do you think we could do a conversion? I think maybe Margarita. So I said, only if we have all the parts and the bus and whatever we're doing. If we're doing a bus, only if it works. If it drives, if it runs, and we got all the stuff. And she's like, I think that can happen. And so Tom donated the bus and all the parts, and it arrived ahead of time, which is incredible. Oh, there we go. Talik's got some good video. And he sent that to me on the Shop Class podcast, and I can put it up. Add it to the album. Do you have access to the album? Okay. Okay, I'll send you the. I'll show you. Yeah. So where's Tom? Let's talk to him about this.
Is the microphone?
Yeah,
on?
we're here. We're having lots and lots of technical problems here.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you.
The camera is not working and doesn't seem to be fixable. So.
Oh, it was working before.
Yeah, we were on my phone, and then it was working, but my phone was almost out of battery. We're literally surrounded by batteries, kilowatts and kilowatts of battery packs. I cannot find a way to charge my phone.
Talik, what's your email? Okay, well, that's all right. We can hear you though. That's important.
We can join back on, I guess.
I am here, Ron and everyone. Hi, it's Tom.
Yep. Tom, so tell us, do you remember the start of this project? And do you remember people asking, or me or somebody asking you, hey, if you got all the stuff, it's going to happen. Actually, didn't I count all the parts with you like 6 months prior?
Yeah, it might have even been last summer, but this was a project that was just reaching out or calling out to happen. And one of the things you forgot to mention about your San Diego connections is Mr. Q, and how far back we go here in San Diego in regards to electric vehicles. And the National Electric Vehicle Association actually started here in San Diego in the 60s. And so we've had a hotbed of interest in this sort of thing here. And guys like Michael Bream and many others have been at the center of it for a long time. And Michael, with his connection to the Volkswagen world, as he has had several, and that goes back to his dad. And then guys like Jehu Garcia and myself, who I've been in the VW scene all my life as well. So it was inevitable that those of us that were interested in electrification of vehicles would find each other. And I got involved in a community project to create a new utility district that was based on renewable energy. And they were really interested in having a bus as a mascot to take around and show people the benefits of renewable energy and clean energy transportation. So they kept bugging me, when is El Rayo going to be ready? And I said, well, we haven't started yet. We've been hobbled by this pandemic, and startups, or nonprofit startups don't just happen overnight. It takes a lot, as Brian was laying out for us. It takes a lot to get just a small amount of momentum, but we did get that momentum, and it all came together this past summer. and we set a deadline for ourselves. It was going to be a 5-week course, start to finish. And we were going to have the bus available for the cruise night in Encinitas on Thursday, the 17th of August. And boy, I'll tell you, these guys worked the midnight oil on Wednesday, and then some more again on Thursday, the day of the event. But it was such an incredible sight to see this vehicle arrive and show up for this event. There you see it right there, under its own steam, and immediately collect a gathering of people around it. And you know, Ron, this picture right here really says it all, because you drove my bus as an ICE car, and we both agreed that it was a great candidate for electrification. And then you got to be the first guy to drive it as an EV and carry this cast of characters and, you know, bask in the accomplishment. So you're the hero here, and
No.
you represent the shop teachers of America, which in my opinion represent the future for us. So I'm really, really proud. And by the way, I have other VWs, and so it's not a big deal for me to donate this. My vision is for the school to use the bus and use it as a promotional vehicle, as a means of conveyance to other events that we can use to spread the word, and for the guys the guys and girls who donated their time and energy and effort to be able to have some fun with this vehicle, because they certainly deserve it. And yeah, that's okay. Just briefly, how this bus came to me, I make it a couple sentences. The bus was manufactured in Brazil. It was exported to Uruguay. It was driven up to my home in Imperial Beach. After 22 months on the road, these young people drove it up, and they were homesick. They wanted to go back home. And so I purchased the bus from them, knowing that I was not going to be able to register it in California under its present configuration. That if the only way we were going to get it legal in California was to make it an emissions-free vehicle, which is what we did. So there you have it.
Nice. That was great. Yeah. So in New Jersey, you have 25 years, and then you don't have to smog it, which is the emissions test. But most of the other part of the country, in California, if you, I think it goes like maybe 50 years. It's like a crazy number. So these enthusiast vehicles, you know, they like, this is a 93, even though it's a 70 style bus, because it's from Brazil. It doesn't pass emissions. But when you switch it over to electric, my understanding is that you can now register the vehicle. Is that right?
We're going to find out. We're going to do everything that we can do to make the bus legal and safe. And it's not enough just to put California plates on it. I want to see it used to transport our students and volunteers and carry the word to others that want to do the same sort of thing. And by the way, it doesn't take 5 weeks to do one of these jobs, but we had to do a lot of our own improvisations with the battery box, and it wasn't easy. But a lot of this stuff can be prepared in advance, and we can make these things. We can make the components unified before we go to cobble them into the bus. So I just recently visited some EV conversion people up in Seattle. They're converting these same vehicles, and he's got it down to 250 to 350 shop hours. So we're now starting to get a set of parameters to quantify these conversions, and we're hoping that this is the sort of thing that can catch on across the country, around the world. It already is in a lot of ways. We're by no means not the first. EV West has been doing this sort of thing for well over a decade, and they're providing components for DIYers all over the world. So But I kind of refer to this period right now as the end of the beginning. We're going to electrify our transportation, and we're going to convert existing vehicles, starting with the classics, the coolest ones first. So that's what we're about. That's what Michael Bream has been about, and we feel it's the sort of thing that a lot of other people are going to be interested in doing.
Totally. That's awesome. So, we have a question from Peter. So I want to give Peter a chance. Peter's a enthusiast of the Shop Class podcast, and he is a machinist and a roofer and everything in between. Peter, what do you got for us?
Well, just wondering, did they hear you coming?
No, it's pretty quiet, actually.
Real
Well, we have a
quiet.
little bell.
We put a gentle pedestrian horn bell that rings to tell people we're coming, to politely warn them. And then there's the air horn that goes and blows a fuse immediately if you press the actual horn of the bus. So no, nobody hears you.
Does anybody have video of the horn being blown? I don't know if I have that.
Maybe not. And actually, I got 6% battery.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, actually, I do, because
properly.
on our first
Testing on actual humans. Hey Victor, yeah, show us the motor back there.
Well, yeah,
You
this
gotta
is
open that
good, right?
thing. You gotta push and lift it up high.
So this is Kevin's kid, Victor, and
Yep.
he's giving you a tour right now.
Dangling
A
wires,
tour of the
yeah,
bus.
all good. Everything seems to be
Well,
in, no
actually, one
leaking
dangling
coolant.
wire right there.
Yep, we have our two USB connections, one for the EVCC, the EV
They're
charge
showing you a
controller, and the other one is for the BMS.
And do you ding the
Everything is
bell
good,
in this
no
video?
blown fuses. All good in here.
That would be great.
Everything is holding together. We do need some, definitely some new tires up front.
Kevin, do you ding the bell in this video?
What's that?
Do you ding the bell in this video?
I don't know.
Okay. But this is a good tour. Is this up on YouTube?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
And these things I'm
Like
sure are
it.
aged out.
What?
How does it ride, Victor?
Pretty well. And if you go inside, there's also something you can do.
What is there?
Maybe this
We
one's
need to
not.
lubricate the squeezy
No, it
handles,
is.
yep.
well, I thought
Hey,
it
tell
was.
me.
If you go in here,
There we go.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
he did
good,
the
it makes
bell.
a ding. Awesome. Get it?
There you go, Peter. That's the bell.
Well, these are some EV improvements that we didn't know that we needed, that we did, because yes, you sneak up on people, and they certainly don't expect a bus like this to be so quiet.
Right. Totally.
The stealth
Oh.
bus. It's not the typical sound it used to make.
Yeah.
We can hear all the rattles and squeaks now.
Yes.
Exactly.
If they don't hear you coming, that's the
Oh,
best.
here we go.
That's a great vehicle. It's the thing I used to, I learned to drive in when I was 11 years.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's well, and the thing is, it's like it's a continuous learning lab. So we're going to add instrumentation to it. How do you extract data from the battery management system and the controller by CAN, and how can we display it? If you want to learn some software, you can get your hands dirty there. If you want to learn front end alignment, well, we found lots of things broken in the front end. You can help us fix the front end. If you want to learn wiring, there's still more wiring improvements that need to be done. I mean, the bus is working and on the road, but there will be continuous improvements to be made. That could be a continuing class.
Oh, and don't forget, if you haven't learned how to drive a stick, this bus will be the perfect training tool to drive a stick, because you're at 0 RPM starting out. So you don't need the clutch to start. You just need to use the clutch when you're shifting gears. And we still do use the standard gearbox, although we don't use first. And we have the option of not even using reverse, as we have a reversing circuit for the motor as well. So it would be an easy vehicle to learn how to drive a stick.
Nice. This is a good video from the show. This is at the show with all the we're surrounded by the gas cars, super cool.
And we did this little demo here with the EcoFlow battery bank and the solar panel to kind of demonstrate energy density so that people hopefully won't be asking us that perennial silly question of why don't we put solar panels on the top and have perpetual motion?
Oh yeah. Nice. So let's go around the room and just ask what people's roles were. As people know, I led the project, but it was only through the efforts of all the people supporting me doing this. And I planned each week 6 months prior, but it still didn't work out like that. But it was a big effort. But I still think it was amazing when I met these people for the first time. So let's start with Ali. Ali, do you want to tell us a little bit about your role in the and what you did and what challenges and what you thought of the project?
Hey everyone, I'm Ali. Let's see my role. I think I started out with the battery box, installing some of the components in the battery box. And then I quickly switched to the electrical system, the wiring basically. I ran the wiring from the back of the bus there, if you can kind of see the controller there, all the way to the front. And I also had the challenge of figuring out the wiring in the front in the dashboard, taking out old and
That was crazy. Like he handled this.
redundant wire. Yeah, like that. Yeah, I've had to figure out what all the wires, where they belonged, if they were even needed. There was an old alarm system that was connected there that was causing a lot of issues that I just took out and ditched. And that was a big challenge because, as you can see, it looked like spaghetti. So that was,
I think
that
they
was pretty
they
challenging.
filled
But
an entire bucket of stuff that they decided no longer needed.
Yeah.
It was
it was
unbelievable.
great. It was working with the team and bouncing ideas off each other and helping people when somebody had a question. We all had questions at any given time, and it was just a great community effort. I enjoyed it a lot. I learned a lot.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And here he is working on installing the controller chill plate on the side of the battery box. And I got to tell you, what was really cool was that Ali kind of set the tone. He was somebody you could just rely on and say, okay, hey, he would say, okay, what's the next task? And I would say, whatever, here's the list. What would you like to do next? And he would just attack. It was incredible work that all of us did. And Ali, was not afraid of jumping in and attacking. I mean, this is some of the crazy wiring that we had to deal with. Kevin's face says it all. That was a good one.
This was we played what is the cat's cradle with this wiring harness, trying to untangle it all. It was a mess. In the end, we just started cutting wires, re-splicing. So
yeah, and, you can't just go in there and just do whatever. He really had to verify everything. So now, did you know this stuff before? Like, what do you feel like you learned in the process?
Me? No.
Yeah,
I mean, I've owned an electric for 11 years now. And I've had experience working on gasoline engine cars. My family owned a service shop when I was a kid. And I also did have shop glass.
Ali, what'd you do?
My hometown, Flat Rock. Shout out to Mr. Management. And so, yeah, I kind of had some experience, but never to this extent of actually taking a gasoline engine and putting in all the electrical components.
Nice. Super cool. Yeah, no, I was glad to have you there, man. It was a lot of fun. Incredible work that everybody did pulling together. And it was a lot of problem solving. It wasn't so easy and straightforward. It's not like you just plug stuff in. You have to follow the diagram and double check the diagram and, verify several times. And then you might even have to do a couple things twice, which is incredible. Yeah. So let's go to somebody else in the group. Let's see which code we have in the house. We got Kevin. All right, Kevin. What role did you play? And what do you think you learned on this one as opposed to some of your other projects that you worked on?
Yeah, so my role was mostly advisor. I didn't have a lot of time to work here at the EVLC on the bus itself, but from my work I've done converting my own car to electric, as well as working on other people's cars, and what I do at the EV Riders, which is another electric vehicle club close by, and things like that. I was able to contribute my knowledge, problem solving, computer skills, debugging, contribute my knowledge gained by years of suffering on electrical and mechanical things, and I've seen this problem before. Yep, yeah, be able to contribute that back. So,
and what do you think you learned? What do you think you got out of this?
A lot of it is the management of it all, and how do you manage a team of volunteers when nobody's like, you can't say work or you're fired. You need to find other ways to motivate people. So how do you do that? I'm still figuring it out. That was important. And also this was my first, on the technical side, my first AC vehicle. All the rest of mine have been DC. So details of the controller and how all that works and configuring parameters and tuning it was all new to me. This is the Hyper 9 system, and it was the first time I had worked on it.
And Kevin has been instrumental in caring for the vehicle since the end of the class too. I gotta give him some kudos for that.
Electric car conversion. This is exactly.
Oh yeah, multiple. You've made multiple changes to it and verified a bunch of stuff, right?
This one, right?
What have you been doing
We put
lately
new
with the
tires
bus?
on it because the front tires that were on there were dangerous. They weren't that old, but they were worn badly because of what we thought was an alignment issue. But we took it to the alignment shop. By the way, we had an asterisk at the beginning of this class before we did any of this to drive it on gas to the alignment shop and have them look at it, and we ran out of time. But now I took it to the alignment shop and they're like, everything's broken. Everything's worn out. You need a new this, a new that. Part of it's 71 bus, some part of it's older bus, some of it's newer bus. It's all weird shit. But we found a local guy who's not scared by odd things like this, who's willing to take on refurbishing the front end of this bus to make it safely drivable. Right now I'm afraid any bump I hit, this whole thing's going to fall apart. We've added a little bit of weight to the bus, but just in the end, it's just, this bus was, ridden hard and put away wet. So
There you go. You're explaining. What are you working on here? The key?
yeah, I was showing the startup and shutdown
It was a
procedure
start
for
position.
other people that want to be able to
Gear
run.
shift in second gear.
Some things that are not intuitive, like
Coming
even
off.
in second when you go into
What's
reverse.
very weird to me is you have to go into reverse, but leave this in second.
The levels
Leave
of
it
safety
second.
what you need to
When you're
do.
starting it up till about
Shut it down.
50 miles an hour.
Put it in neutral, take it out of gear.
And we're on a
let
hill
it be
now, so I
neutral,
don't even think I'll
and
need to
take
put
the
it in
key out.
gear.
then chalk the pot.
The other thing hard to get used to is there is no
Safely
reverse camera.
operate this as it is different than it was stock, and definitely far different than any modern vehicle you might encounter.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It totally works, but you do have to worry about, do you know your state of charge, which is basically your how full is the tank? Do you know if you're all the things that go with this? Brian, thanks for coming. All right. We'll see you again soon. He's probably got a flight to catch. I don't know. Oh, you got to unmute yourself.
So, yeah, part of it is, in shaking the bus down and going for a ride, it's like, I had faults while driving it where it just quit on me. Well, we have no display to show why we have these faults. So in practicality, or we thought we were done, and then you find out by driving it, like, no, we're not done. We've just uncovered a bunch of other work that we need to do, like the front end fix and like figuring out if you do have a fault, what that fault might be.
The work list is long. You might even notice that the steering wheel got put on in the wrong spline. We made some boo-boos. This was a big learning experience for us, and not the least of which was fitting that box in its place.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness, most of the other VW bus conversions either put the batteries underneath or the batteries on the floor, or they make the dedicated box to go inside the cabin. Well, we didn't do any of those things. We put it where the gas tank used to be, and believe it or not, we can fit 6 Tesla modules in there. It's a lot of good space. So we put our entire package in the engine compartment, and so that doesn't change any of the weight distribution of the vehicle, but it makes things tight. And by the way, you see these giant taillights on here? We could take those off and reach our arm through to deal with some of the installation of these components and whatnot. So this was a major challenge for all of us.
Oh yeah, and is that us running it for the first time?
Yep, that was after finally getting the box in for the real time, because there's that first spin and then before the first pack went bad. So this is the shot after the rebuilt pack with the new modules put in, spinning the wheels.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, we had to rebuild this pack 3 times, right? It was 3 or 4 times because we had bad modules in there. We had salvaged modules that weren't up to snuff. But
they weren't the ones that we paid for. It was just a snafu. It's just a misunderstanding. These things happen when you got a lot of cooks.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, that was exciting times. There's Huxley. That kid's 17 and he contributed so much. Look, I look like I haven't slept in weeks. I probably still look like that.
You were pulling some long shifts there.
Oh man, it was like 9 to 9 daily, That was wild. All the little details, like even like the way you put your connector together, mattered. A lot of stuff. Yep. Shout out to Keanu. He was kind of like my assistant teacher in a way. We had to do a lot of wiring and stuff. He was great. He helped organize the project. You need someone to organize and lead, and then you need doers, and you need people that are willing to make mistakes and try stuff. Let's shift over to Omar. Omar's right here. Look at this. Omar helped install a bunch of the components. Omar, are you there?
Yeah, I wouldn't say a bunch, the contactor box. And but yeah, it was really an incredible learning experience. I was just someone who's interested in EVs, and really just kind of getting away from fossil fuels. And my background is all finance and real estate and lending. Absolutely nothing to do with this. But that all changed. That one fateful day, I replied to Kevin Lieberman's email requesting volunteers at the EVLC.
Interesting. Nice. Well, I'm glad you made it, and it was a lot of fun meeting you. And then, it's not easy working on a project. There was a lot of like decision making, even though we had the components. Where do you put the components? How do you arrange them? And so we had to, work through all these things, and you did a great job, man. I remember at one point, it was pretty funny. He wasn't sure if he was going to change it and put it over here. And I was so worried that he kept on making changes. So then I actually sang a song to him. I sang, "Don't go changing." to try.
Well, it's the old perfection is the enemy of good.
Right.
I think that's, but yeah, we just picked. You had everything kind of listed on the project board, and asked us to just put our name down by something. I looked at the board and saw something that looked pretty complicated, but maybe something I could understand, and that's how I got on that
Yeah.
project.
And you did a great job, man. And this is kind of how it started. We did it analog, so it's like front of the bus. So anybody watching this video, if you have a whole team of volunteers, this is what I would advise doing. This worked out pretty well. Put yourself in the front of the bus, a bunch of tasks. The back of the bus gets a little crowded, and then you have your bench. This would be like out of the bus, but on a bench. Could be multiple benches. You have like maybe a supplier that's close by. You have your missing parts, and then you got like this other category. So this got condensed down, and this was actually put into an Excel sheet that was shared with the group. And Keanu helped me manage that. Because at any moment you have, let's say, between 5 and 10 volunteers, and someone could walk up to you and say, "Oh, hey, okay, I finished my task, and I got 2 hours. What can I do next?" And you don't want to tell them what to do, because then it's like it feels a little weird, but you say, "Hey, here's your options. Did you want to learn about XYZ, or did you want to learn about ABC?" And they say, "I never did ABC before. Let me give that a shot." And then they go for it. We even had a female mechanic come by, and she only had like 2 hours or something like that. And I said, "Well, what do you want to work on?" And she said, "Well, give me something easy." And I was like, "Well, there's nothing easy, but you could pick something." And she said, "Okay, I'll do the trolley bell." I was like, "Okay, great, but you got to complete it." And she's like, "Okay." So she went up there, and this is Sarah Lyons, and she went up there and she installed that. And that's because the list is open. People are allowed to choose whatever project they want to work on. And I'm trying to find a photo of that, but yeah, that's the idea. So that kind of management style sort of worked. And I think it works because, believe it or not, I actually tried that out with my high school students. Rather than project as the teacher, I just say, "Okay, this is what we're trying to accomplish. Where would you like to jump in? And we'll support you during that process." So that's kind of what happened. Let's go over to let's see who else we got. Mike Noren.
Hello.
Mike is always sailing around doing something.
Gotta keep moving.
With these palm, yeah, he's always moving. You're making me jealous with these palm trees, man. That is awesome.
Oh yeah, it's the same ones over and over again. Keep going by.
Oh, that's why. So what role did you play, and what do you think you learned from this?
I think I remember a couple of things. You tasked me with the throttle up front, and Huxley helped out with that. He got the things welded. You helped him weld it, so he kind of designed it, and I think I helped with like the spring return and making that.
Oh, that was
making that nice. And then I think I cut out a hole in the dash for the forward reverse switch. And another memorable things were, just being part of the team who put the battery in, right? 'Cause that was a big ordeal. And then I remember one guy who came by to visit he just saw a video on YouTube, and he showed up and remember trying to get him involved with like whatever I was working on. Like, here, let's, we were cutting metal, try and make a bracket to put those relays in, and just kind of neat to see someone come in and try to get them involved. That was pretty cool for me. And I wasn't there a whole lot, lots of hours at a time, but I'd sneak in after work and just kind of see everybody working hard. And it was really cool.
And
what did I learn? Yeah, just it's a lot of work. You got to keep plugging away. You guys were working real late to get it done. So good job.
Yeah, this is the throttle underneath the bus. It was started out life as like this greasy mess, and I don't know if I have a photo. I must have a photo of the completed mission for that, but I don't know where it is right now. But yeah, that was not easy to do.
Last
To
time
get
I
that.
left, go through all this media and make a cohesive video for it. So
Yeah, I
we need
agree.
volunteers.
Yes, we definitely need someone to put a nice video together. That would be awesome. I can help contribute, and narrate or whatever. But yeah, I mean, some of those parts of the bus look like this.
Hmm.
What's that?
So we need Morgan Freeman for the narration.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Ron,
Yeah.
one of the things I learned, and this is probably something that you shop teachers have discovered long, long ago, is the power of collaboration. And when somebody isn't available to answer somebody's question, when you have 2 or 3 people working on the same project, it's amazing how what you can't figure out individually, you can figure out collectively. I saw a lot of that as something I had never seen before until it was actually your 4-hour class that we did a long time ago when we built the little toy car kits. The
Oh,
power
yeah.
of collaboration. You put 3 students at a table, they're going to figure it out.
Yeah, that's true. And the funniest thing is when I did the class, I do a basic class. And the amazing thing was I didn't know Tom at all. And he took the class. It was a basic intro to electric vehicles. And one of the tasks in the class is to make a little electric vehicle. And I give you the parts and I don't give you any instructions. And Tom literally looked at it and said, "Man, this ain't going to happen. This is not going to happen." And I was like, "Tom, it's going to happen." And I think I paired you up with some people, and yours was the one that beat everybody else's, which is ironic because you said it wasn't going to work. And not only did it work, but it beat everyone else's. And here we are doing the bigger project, and it won as well. It accomplished its goal. So there's something to be said about that beginning feeling of nervousness of, oh my God, how is this going to happen? And I'll be honest, I was nervous going into this because I've done conversions before. I've done them with students and I've done them with friends and I've repaired conversions. And I know going into it, you think, okay, I'll get it done. There's so much work and it's just, you never know. You're uncovering all these things because you're working on an old car. But I was nervous and I was excited that I had a lot of people that wanted to be a part of it. So I knew, okay, well, as long as we got people involved and we just keep on talking about the progress, what's happening. Every day we would have, hey, let's look at the chart. What did we do yesterday? What is needed? Is there something we need to order? Let's do it now. So it was a much more like you just eat it as it comes. Just eat the meal as fast as you can. And I know that we had enough mouths with all that stuff. So I don't know whether analogy I can use, but I was nervous going into it. I had that nervousness, I will tell you. And so when you saw me excited on the last day when it actually worked, I was like, oh my God, I was like, I can't believe it actually happened. It's unbelievable. So, I'm pretty stoked that, we did do this project. It's amazing. I hope it serves as like an inspiration for other people that want to do the project. I would say 5 weeks is tight. Although, if you had everything, if it was repeatable, then you could do it in like 2 days, but you can't do it in 2 days if you've never done it and people are learning as they go. So this is a totally different animal. And so you really need people that are excited,
Yeah, we had some major learnings here. It's like, first of all, trust your instincts, right? So many times we both had instincts to like, we should really check out these batteries before we put them in the bus. Well, we didn't do that. Or I think we need a relay here and we don't. So, now you don't need a relay. Well, we need the relay. Things like that. So this could be done faster if you deal with old car problems beforehand while it's still running. Test all your components, have everything ready.
Don't forget this.
And yes, well, having the bench next to us was really handy
The,
too. So
the training table, Mark's training table, a mock-up of everything that you're going to have in the bus, in real life format. Absolutely vital.
Yeah, Mark created kind of like a bench setup, and here it is. Kind of, I'll show it.
Yeah, show it.
Yeah, and what's nice is that it's something you can refer to. Let me get a better picture. I think I have one.
There you go.
Yeah, you can refer to it and use it as your reference, so that, like, let's say you're not sure. Double check. Just walk over to the bench. Oh, it's too bad I don't have any more bench photos. But Mark would be proud that we used it a lot. It really came in handy. The EVLC has access to this bench right here, and it has all the same components that go in the bus. So if you think about it, you're duplicating something that already exists, and that's a game changer when it comes to learning. You just sort of copy, although it's not always the same, but at least you get a chance to copy. Oh, this is the throttle that they worked on. This is Huxley's. A 17-year-old kid created this, and then I welded it up, and they refined it. Mike Noren helped refine it, and here it is right here. This is them working on it. So that was pretty cool. Think about it. You have Mike Noren working with a 17-year-old kid. He's going to be his future is bright in the engineering world, which is awesome. Pretty cool. That was a good thing. And this is the contactor box that Omar was working on, which, if you don't know these components, this is like, it looks like spaghetti and meatballs in there, but everything matters, all the little parts. And we had a wiring diagram as well. And believe it or not, this thing, oh my God, this is vital.
Yep.
Vital. You need this.
Erase and fix it on the fly was vital too. So
yes, it's not going to be. Yeah, go ahead.
It wasn't etched in stone. It's on a whiteboard. So.
And you're going to need to make changes because every project is a little bit different. The technology changes really quickly. Almost every 6 months, I would say there's a change in the components you buy. So you might have bought, we bought some components, and then 6 months later things changed, but we still had to use this stuff. But we had to mix and match it with some more modern pieces, EVCC versus the MCU and stuff like that. So you really do need to keep track of this, and you should have a way of, you have to need a symbol legend. So you have your wire. Are they crossed or are they connected? Is it done or incomplete? Is it in the vehicle or not in yet? And so, like, these are some of the things to keep track. And also, is it high voltage versus low voltage? This is the thing that you need to keep track of. Actually, this was really good training because when I went and did the solar project right in the middle, oh boy, we needed a wiring diagram like ASAP. So I was able to whip it up in a couple of days. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Let's see. I want to also involve Roy. Go ahead. What's that?
Tulloch's in the house too, isn't he?
Yes. We're going to get to Tulloch in a sec, but Roy's here. Is Roy still here?
Yeah, guys, I've just been kind of a fly on the wall. I really enjoyed seeing this. I liked the community. It was cool to hear more about how it got started, when it got started, and how it evolved into a big bus project.
Nice. And just so a reminder, everybody, Roy is a shop teacher in California, and he does a lot of fine woodworking, and that's not easy to do with high school kids. They win awards when they go to Vegas. It's so cool. And the Shop Class Podcast, we have a profile on him. Roy, what'd you think, man? What'd you think of this project?
What I really like about the Shop Class Podcast is there's so many of us doing cool stuff. And the way we put it together, or the way we find it and become a part of it, whatever the project that, the passion project that, you're working on or someone's working on in Iowa. I really liked how the community came together with EVLC. And so it was just that's what I was really interested in seeing. It's like, how in the world did this this organization find Ron, and why is Ron in San Diego, and how in the world, who's funding this? How is it that everybody can just show up? What's the structure of this? So that's why I came into town, just kind of figure out,
Oh, yeah.
how does this pipe dream become a reality in a industrial space? No, it's very cool.
No, that's a good question. Like from the outside, what are we doing? Like, how did this even happen? And it really started with me going to San Diego. If you go back a million years ago, it's the EVLSC obviously started by Brian, had an idea. But I got into the San Diego scene because I literally wanted to learn about electric cars. To me, I was like, well, can't we just make a big version of what I had as a kid? And a friend of mine asked me, he says, why don't you just Google a class? And I barely even knew what Google was. And Google was brand new to me. And YouTube had just started, 2006. And so I typed in electric. I'm like, this is not going to work. And he's like, it's going to work. And I typed in electric car class. And on YouTube, Mr. Q, who's a retired auto shop teacher, he's Shop Class Podcast for life, this guy. He organized a class after retiring from the classroom. And I couldn't get in his 2006 class, and I didn't get in his 2007 class because back then it was normal to wait like a year for something, or 2 years. You'd be like, oh, it's sold out. Oh, wait. So I waited. And then 2008, I went to San Diego and took a class. And then 2008, 2009, I did this car over here. It's hard to see, but this red car. And then I needed, my supplier retired. And so they said, hey, you should meet this new guy, Michael Bream. And I was like, well, who's that? And so I went and I'm like, well, I'm going to visit. I can't, the phone's not going to work. I got to meet this person. And it was one garage. And now he's like almost the whole block. And then they opened up the EVLC just a few years back. And that just opened the door to the whole thing, So there you go, Roy. That's the reach back in the history of it.
I like that. Probably the most encouraging thing that I didn't hear earlier that I just heard now is that you started this in 2008. So when we're trying to get stuff off the ground, right? It takes a while. So no, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, like a lot of people, they think stuff happens as a lightning strike, but I will tell you, even my side business has taken about 8 years to finally be profitable, and same thing at EVLC. They said Brian started it, and then literally COVID hit. Can you imagine the disappointment knowing that you open this, they sign the lease, they get the keys, they paint the space, they populate it, they schedule classes, and then pow. And it wasn't that middle COVID stuff. It's the beginning where it was like, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, which turned into 3 years, man, that must have been really frustrating. So if you're starting anything, just stick with it, and you will see it. Tim, you got a question? Go for it.
Well, no, it was like I think it was 2009 or 2010. You brought that car to the NJTA convention.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry. Wait, hold on. Kevin, I'm going to mute you for a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, you brought that car to one of the NJTA conventions that I remember, and that was the first time I've met you.
Oh, no kidding. That's so funny. It's a small world, and I feel lucky that all these people get to contribute ideas and we get to all work together. I mean, it's funny because when I was a kid, if someone asked me like, oh, if you had like $1 million, what would you do? And I'd be like, well, I just want to like build cars with my friends, So like, it turns out there's this job called shop teacher. I didn't know that was a thing, Like, I can't even believe it. So, obviously, it's not as straightforward as that. There's a lot of planning involved and you got to get funding, but we're super lucky that Tom is in a position. He's retired. He was a boat engineer for a while. He traveled the world, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna make sure that the next generation is doing EV projects, and that was so he funded it. And then Tim with this car, I just can't believe it. You know, the school, it's actually the perfect storm. The gas prices were $4 a gallon in 2008. And then there was another storm of I had just taken the class on how to convert it in the summer. And then only staff meeting that ever meant something to me, which was they asked the teachers, is there a class that you want to create? Do you have a project you want to work on? And I was like, wait, what? This is for real? I had to like elbow my friend. I'm like, he was probably sleeping. And I'm like, listen, they just said we could like volunteer and create a class. And he's like, yeah, dude, put it up there. And I was like, what? I was like, all right, yeah. And she's like, okay, come talk to me later. And so I put together a budget and we bought the parts with a grant and we did it. You know, so sometimes schools take a chance, you know, so it worked out. That was pretty cool. And now here we are, Tim. We're going to be presenting in a month at the Technology Association, our solar project, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Talik, what are you showing me there? Is it in my list here? Let's see.
No, I'm trying not to upload everything because it's you know my phone's low on memory. But this is Tom at the open house sitting on top of his bus, just hanging out on top of his bus.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Was that the same guy we had on a couple weeks ago that was on the boat?
Yes.
That's the same guy, right?
Yeah, he's here. Tom's here. Tom and Tim, say hi.
Where is Tom?
Yeah, I figured since the camera wasn't working, I wanted to at least show who Tom was.
Yes, I have that.
Because we did the recap of the solar thing in Taylorville, and then he was on showing us how he solar powered his boat and how he squeezed all those components in that little spot, and we had everything mounted on that board.
That's right. That's 100% right. Here he is, right here. I'm gonna share it. What's kind of cool is that you know, Tom's done the Victron system. He's off the grid. He's off the grid, man. And he also is driving around on Sunshine as well. So, you know, Tom's a big contributor of all this stuff, which is really cool. Oh, look at this. This is cool. Is this the first time we rolled it out?
That is the open house.
Well, the open house. Okay.
And that's Jehu right there.
Nice. And we had Jehu Garcia. Now, Jehu I met years ago, and he was one of the first pioneers to really do the DIY thing. He did a low budget, you know, bus just like this. And he was able, you can hit the gas there. That's pretty cool. You know, he's been a big inspiration as well. He has a great website where you can buy parts to make this happen. Not for the bus, but for your batteries. And that's Jag 35.
There should be a video of me talking to him there too.
Okay. I'll just pull up his website right just to give you familiarity, you know, take a look. He's got great resources. His YouTube is awesome. And it's got an amazing amount of stuff on here. You could buy pretty much anything that you need for all your battery and off-grid needs. He's got, you know, the Instagram and all that stuff as well. Let's see. Let me go back here for a sec. And you said you have, where are you talking to him? Okay, cool.
We're out here at the EVLC after party for the bus launch of the first EV conversion project. Ring a ding ding, baby. Jehu Garcia is here, and what do you think, man?
It's great. I mean, it runs really smooth. I mean, I love buses. I guess I'm biased because I have a bunch of them, right? But yeah, this is great. I mean, for first time students and stuff who convert this and
Buffering problems, maybe.
Ron's muted.
My bad. I'm sorry about that. I muted because I was playing something. But I think this was a pretty good meeting, a recap. I want to go back and ask everybody another question. Like, what's your next move? Like, what are you going to do from here? What are some of the what are some of the, I guess, reasons you wanted to learn about the electric cars? And I know Ali, I want to talk to Ali because I know he's got ambitions to work with Tesla. And I think if we all pull together, I think we could probably help him make that happen. And so, Ali is like super diligent. He knows the hands-on stuff, but he also knows the software, not so much the programming, but like he knows about how it works because he drives the Tesla. So tell us, what are your plans moving forward? What do you want to do with the knowledge you gained from this project?
Well, I was looking to, I applied at Tesla. I'm just waiting to hear back. So I'm hoping to expand on the knowledge I learned from converting this bus to a career, hopefully.
Nice. Ali's being shy, but he's so ready to work for Tesla. This is going to be amazing. Tell us about the self-driving software. You're like an expert in there. Has it improved a little since you've been using it?
Oh yeah. So I've been part of the Tesla full self-driving beta testing team. I've actually driven my Tesla. Being from Detroit and living in San Diego, I drove it to visit my family 3 times from San Diego to Detroit on self-driving. And yeah, I've been a beta tester for almost 2 years. And when I first started, the car was trying to kill me left and right. But every time you take over, Tesla gains that information. They capture what happened and they retrain their software, and the car gets better and better over time. And now they're on version 11.4.7, and it's really good. I actually drive for Uber just to show people the self-driving. And actually, that's how I met Tom. Tom was one of my riders when I was Ubering, and
awesome.
we got talking about Tesla and electrification, electric cars, solar panels, batteries, and just that short amount of time that we were in the car. He turned me on to the Electric Vehicle Association and then to the EVLC. So that's kind of how I got into this mix. So yeah, my goal.
So does that,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so does the self-driving software affect the battery life of the car?
Tesla's approach, not really. I think it uses about 100 watts, which is very low. They approach it differently than everybody else. They're using cameras only. Vision, basically, what it is, like, it's artificial intelligence. So we as humans, how we drive, we use our eyes and our brain. And it's the same thing how Tesla's doing it. They're using cameras, which is like eyes, and they're using their neural network computer, which is the brain, to make decisions right away. Whereas the other guys, there's Cruise and Waymo. I don't know if you've heard of them, other self-driving software. They use other sensors like radar and LiDAR, which is basically shooting lasers out. It's a laser-based system. And the problem with that is, let's say you have to map with those other systems, you have to map out the whole area. And then if you have a problem or a discrepancy between the LiDAR and the vision, which one are you going to choose? Which one are you going to decide is the right way? So Tesla thought that was completely not the right approach to do it, and they want to do only cameras. You just have to make the software better. You have to make the artificial intelligence better, and that's what they're doing. And it's a really hard problem to do, but I'm pretty sure they're solving it. And actually, just last month, they showed their next version 12, which is using end-to-end neural networks, meaning You basically just tell it where you want to go and it does it for you. There's no codes. There's nothing to tell it how to drive. It just knows by using all the data it's been shown over the years of how good drivers drive. So
Yeah, the reason why I
it's
asked
pretty
was because I know Ron had to stop every couple hours to charge, and I didn't know if you were using the self-driving software, if that would have dropped the mileage per se, or the time that you needed to charge, to something different. So that's why I was just asking because there's other things running now.
Yeah.
Besides that. So, I mean, I know nothing about this,
Correct.
and that's why I asked.
No, it doesn't drop it anymore. Tesla puts this computer in every single car they make, and it's always running. Even if you're not using the self-driving, it's what they call shadow mode. So it's basically running in the background, trying to figure out, okay, this is how the computer would have driven. How is the human driving? And they compare that. So it really doesn't use any more battery than any other Tesla.
All right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's exciting stuff. I'll be honest, I haven't even dived into that part of the car yet. And I think that Ali, I need to do that. And I need some guidance because it's a weird thing. Like, I think it probably, my bias without driving it, this is what happens with the EV stuff is without driving the car, you're like, you got to charge or this and that. So me, I'm like, oh, what about New Jersey aggressive traffic? So what happens when you get probably similar in Detroit? What happens when you hit Detroit and not everything is as it seems, where people are cutting you off and stuff? How does it fare over there? Do you remember?
So when people always ask me those questions, like, oh, how does it handle this or how does it handle that? I always come back and say, how would you handle it? And pretty much they're going to do the same thing other than, being more aggressive. The computer is not made to be aggressive. I mean, it can be aggressive in some of its moves, but they're solving basically artificial intelligence, and it's supposed to be intelligent enough to make those decisions on what it needs to do and what it needs to not do. And the good thing about the system is it has cameras all around, whereas we just have two, eyes. We can see forward, or we can turn our head, or we can lean forward, but the computer is always looking. It's always making decisions. It's always trying to figure out what to do. And it just takes time to get the algorithm to make the right choices all the time.
It's pretty cool. I'm excited I'm going to do the rental. I could do a software rental for $200 for the month. And I know that seems steep, but if you think about it, my stress level is down when I drive this car because instead of constantly making changes, most of the driving gets taken care of, even with the basic package, the autopilot. Most of it gets taken care of with the autopilot self-driving. This is full self-driving, which is much more like probably 99%. So I'm going to give it a shot. That sounds pretty cool. But it's great having someone who's like an expert in this because like you've taken it seriously. Ali's being shy right now, but he's got 2 Teslas, both full self-driving, and he uses them as a demonstration model. Like he basically works for Tesla without working for Tesla, So it's pretty incredible. Talik, you got a question? Go for it, man.
Oh, I was just saying, if you're curious about seeing what like East Coast cities are like, Zach and Jesse on Now You Know channel, they have some videos up of them testing out their full self-driving in Massachusetts, in Boston. And there's probably various YouTubers that actually, are doing, because a lot of people have this software now, and a lot of them are posting videos to YouTube. So if you're curious, just put Tesla full self-driving into YouTube, and you'll probably and name a city, and you'll probably find somebody driving full self-driving in those cities. In terms of renting it, I would double check, because I've heard that depending on your firmware version, and you have a more I think a newer Tesla. Double check, because sometimes the rental, you can't get on beta right away.
Ah.
So double check that the version of firmware you're running will get you beta, because otherwise you're paying for basically like the lane changing and like the auto park, and you won't get all the stuff that you really want to know, which is the beta full self-driving. So yeah, check that out.
Okay.
Everybody
Ali, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, everybody that wants full self-driving now can get it. That's how confident. The reason why they weren't allowing a lot of people into the program is because they were compute constrained, meaning they didn't have enough computers at their base to run the soft. Whenever you take over, they would capture that data. Well, they needed to take it back to their mothership basically to run the software and to figure it out. Well, they didn't have enough compute power to do all that, so they limited it. Well, now it's not limited anymore. It's pretty much anybody can if you want it, you can get it.
Wow.
And they actually lowered the price of self-driving. It used to be $15,000, and now they lowered it down to $12,000 because they want to encourage more to get it and to use it, because they just bought 10,000 NVIDIA computer chips, so to train the system. So they're training, and then they created their own chip called a Dojo, which is going to be specifically for neural network training, purpose built by Tesla to do that. So those are coming online too. So it's pretty much, I'm hoping by the end of the year, they're going to be pretty far ahead than what they already are.
It's pretty incredible that we're having these conversations, converting old buses to run electric with like 3 times the horsepower. And we got people involved that are involved with the highest tech, and they're beta testers. It's just an incredible situation. It's funny because when I first got involved in the whole electric car thing, it was really just because I like cars and I like engineering. But I never thought I'd be talking about self-driving. I was always like, that's robot stuff, But the thing is that it's a real thing, and it takes really hardcore engineering, and it takes beta testers and people that understand it to really get involved in it. So it's basically like we're hanging out with the people that bought the first Apples, like Apple One. Basically like Ali's like an Apple One beta tester. And we're like, yeah, self-driving. No, it's really a crazy thing. Like the car is driving itself. And he gave me a ride, and I was like, and I've heard about it, and I know about all this stuff, and I didn't realize how serious it is. And not for nothing, but the same thing with the solar panels happened to me in the summer. I know solar panels, but until we installed them, I didn't realize it's really free energy. So like, if you're on the fence about all this stuff, like just give it a try. You got to get it in your hands to really experience it. Paper is nothing, So pretty cool stuff that we're actually having these conversations about this stuff, because it's just early days, even though I got started early. But it's just this, what I describe this as is like, it's this enormous tsunami of technology, and it's huge, but it's moving very slowly. Like, it's just a huge tsunami of change, but you could see it. You see the change, and it hasn't crashed on you yet, and there's a couple of surfers out there. So Ali's like a technology surfer,
Speaking of hanging out, the Fiesta the other day was pretty awesome.
Oh, there we go. And that was at the EVLC, right?
Yeah, we had, it was basically Tesla Club SoCal came down and co-hosted the party with Margarita and the EVLC, and it basically like another open house for the entire thing. The EVOS stuff was there, and so we got a lot of like people who have modified Teslas checking out this the bus that we all worked on this summer. So that was pretty cool to like celebrate, all the progress the EVLC had.
Wow, that is cool. Do you have? Where do we find all those videos?
That was just a quick little hey, where are we party video. But some of the videos are actually on Tesla Club SoCal's Instagram and stuff like that.
Send me some links. I'll throw it up. That's pretty cool. Yeah, the EVLC always has open house and parties and stuff like that, and that's really good. And now the bus serves as like a rolling classroom, kind of like what Kevin was describing. Pretty cool. So yeah, let's keep on moving around the room. Kevin, now that you've done the bus, I got two questions now. What are you working on next? Which I already kind of know the answer. And what did you learn? That's actually three questions. What are you working on next? What'd you learn, and what would you do differently for, like, what advice would you give if you were going to do this bus project again? And Tim, thanks for coming. I'll see you later. Is Kevin there? Oh, he's got to unmute himself. All right, we'll move over to Omar. Omar, what are you working on next? You there?
Yeah.
Okay, Omar, what are you working on next? And what would you do differently if you were to do this project again?
Well, I am looking for another project to work on. I've been talking to some of the classmates, and so that's what we're in the process of kind of figuring out another project. Obviously, we've got another class coming up in November.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I hope so.
yeah, so it's all, it's just learning more, getting involved in projects, helping other folks, and yeah. But what I would do different, I really thought I got a lot out of the program. Obviously, a lot of times if you make mistakes, that's a way to learn, and provided you don't shock yourself to death. So all the mistakes were just there for a good reason. It's we're new. We don't know what we're doing. We figured it out. And yeah, I wouldn't change a thing, Ron. I wouldn't change a thing.
Okay, man. All right.
I'm unmuted now.
And let's see. Oh, is Kevin and Tom there?
Yeah, this is Tom. Kevin had to go home, but he left his laptop with me. So
nice.
I'm going to close up the shop and drop it off.
All right.
And I want to echo Omar's sentiments. There's not too much I would change, although I might change some of my own outlook towards how we do these things. I definitely want to do another one, if not sooner, maybe next summer. I know that Brian has a vehicle that's a prime candidate, and I reminded him earlier that we have a full suite of components to do another vehicle that we harvested out of the green bus that was wrecked over a year ago by a drunk driver that hit me broadside. Yeah, so we could actually do another conversion if we have a donor vehicle, and I don't think that's going to be a big deal finding one. In the meantime, I know you did a cross-country road trip, Ron, and so did I. Just completed about a 4,500-mile trip around the Northwest, and I did dabble with FSD for a bit. And by the way, Ali, I spent 15 grand, and now I find they got a discount. But that's kind of Elon's way of doing business. He wants to make sure that this stuff gets into the hands of the most people, and yet. He's a capitalist, and he does these things for money. So yeah, we've got to figure out a way to bring the cost down. So I think that's one of my biggest challenges, and something that I want to work towards. I want to work further with Michael Bream to develop components that are pre-built that can be installed in one piece, as opposed to the painful experience that we had with our battery box, which, by the way, we had to do that. Otherwise, how do you learn? But one of the great things about the learning process is,
right, bus is in.
yeah, is bringing the cost down. We want to bring this in. You know, none of us have forgotten what Volks stands for. It's the people's car. And this is the way that we're going to get this technology into the hands of the greatest number of people. And you have to drive the cost down. So we want to drive the cost and the time down. And we want to convert cool cars. And if anybody is still listening that hasn't done this before and has questions about whether or not they could do it, and could they do it to my car? Well, I would just like to say, start with a lighter vehicle, because that means you have a lot less batteries to deal with. This is a heavy car. So yeah, it's something that we want to continue to do more of and get better at it. You know, Jehu is a great inspiration for us because he's doing it. You know, he's got I think he's on his fourth or fifth one right now. He wants to build a fleet of 10 to be rental vehicles in Hawaii. What a dream that is, man! And bring the fun of a VW bus to as many people as we can. So yeah, that's the dream, and that's what I want to continue doing.
That's pretty cool. No, that's awesome, Tom. You know, you're always thinking from a practical level. I really like that. And you've been on all sides of the financial picture, so you're you know what it's like to buy parts for a project. You know, yeah, like if this stuff is too expensive, it's the adoption is going to be super slow. And then also the knowledge base is hard too, because you're going from piston engine to, you know, switching over. There's a lot of computer stuff you got to learn. There's a learning curve with the batteries. So, you know, it's the prices will come down, but if it's not going to happen by accident. It's going to take the effort of somebody like what you're saying. Hey, how do we take these components and make them lighter weight? Or how do we take these components and make them more available? Let's jump over to Kevin Urani. I hope I'm saying your name right. And, you know, I think that he has done an EV project, or he's in the middle of one, and he wasn't there for this project, but sounds like he's got something in mind. What's going on there, Kev?
Hey, yeah, you're right. I'm working on the same conversion that I was when I swung by the shop in November. It's a 63 Volkswagen Bug. And we're doing a frame off restoration. So right now the body is at the body shop, and that'll probably be done in the next 2 weeks or so. Getting a full, obviously painted coat to doing all the body work, all the rust removal has been completed. It's going to be painted the same color as the Tesla Pearl White. So that's kind of like a throwback or throw forward to where the electrical revolution kind of started for the modern electric vehicle.
Nice.
But Hyper 9 motor, that's already mounted on the transaxle. Pan is ready to go. So waiting for the body to come back, mount it back on, and then start wiring in some batteries and go from there.
That's pretty cool. Where are you doing this? Is it in California? I can't remember.
No, we are on the East Coast, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Oh, no kidding. All right. But originally from Jersey, right?
That's right. Yeah. North Jersey.
Oh, no. You've lost your tude. You seem kind of relaxed.
I'm from Lake Opakon out in the sticks. So there's not a lot of it out there.
Oh, that's funny. I always find it funny meeting people from this area. It's a little wound up over here. It's kind of funny. But that's a great project, man. Do you have a crunchy deadline? Is there something you're targeting, or are you just kind of walking down the line here?
So as long as we're done by October of 2024, because that's when I'm getting married. So we plan on having the car in our wedding, but I think we'll be done well before then.
Oh, you jinxed it, man. Now you're gonna have to hustle, dude. Don't do that.
I know.
Warning, pull up. You're gonna hit the trees, man. Your trajectory's off.
Exactly. As a side project, while the body is getting painted, I'm converting a Tony cart, like a shifter cart, to an electric motor. So that's basically done. I put on a QS 138 motor. I had it clocked at 61 miles an hour when I ran out of road, so it's a little terrifying. But that's running a 72 volt system.
Dude, that's really interesting to me because I think that I was speaking with Brian from EVLC about the next project, and I got excited and I talked about possibly doing a land speed car, but that's going to be really difficult to do. I might still do it, but it would have to be like through a different entity maybe. But EVLC might do a go-kart series because that's much more reasonable to build and make competitive. So you could have you don't have to travel anywhere. We could rent a local track or something. So I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much, but Brian and I were talking about this, and I'm still down to do a land speed car because this is something we were floating around with. But the shifter cart, man, is kind of cool. So can you send us some details, man? Can you keep us in the loop? Because I think that is going to be like a big thing. I love going go-karting, but when you go go-karting and you're out there with the gas cars, they're so much fun. And everybody's like old school, it's like people are like smoking cigarettes and dealing in cash, and it's like a throwback. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And even though I'm an EV guy, I'm a car guy, but the thing is that when you are driving these carts, the exhaust is in your face. So you're like, you got all the stuff in your face. EV would be cool, man. It would be really cool, but can it last the laps and be competitive with the gas ones? And that's a big question. So what do you think, man? Are you going to go on the track with some of the gas guys?
So I'm going to start doing like solo events, autocross events. Won't be a problem for that. It's going to be obviously dependent on your battery size. So I can pull up pictures of the cart real quick and show you guys. But it's
just go to share. Yep. Little arrow.
Yep. Mine's running a 72 volt, 240 amp, 60 amp hour battery. And even doing like full throttle pulls, we only had to charge the battery like once throughout our whole testing. So under like track conditions, I'm not sure, but just running like around in our testing, I think it's going to last a lot longer than we thought. We could probably scale down the battery amp hours and get like a 40, 45 amp hour. And I think that will save you on some of the weight because right now it's a little heavy on the battery side versus the motor side. Make it a little closer to 50-50 laterally, but I think it'd be competitive.
Nice. That sounds cool. And are you running lithium ion or lithium iron phosphate?
Lithium ion.
So then the question, I don't even need to be I'm the first one to say it, but everyone's going to say, oh, what happens if you crash? What about fire? And
hopefully we don't find out.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna, but if you're racing, but
yeah.
But I think that, obviously they blow these things out of proportion. If something's on fire, I mean, sure, gasoline can go on fire too. Just put it out. That, it takes longer. I think that's the only trouble. I don't know. Sure. I haven't had any trouble at all with all these. Now that I said that, I will. But, don't overcharge it.
Yep.
Don't get it out of balance. Stuff like that. Pretty cool, Kevin. That's exciting news. So you got a project and you got a race car going. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, let me
share.
I need to grant permissions real quick. Yeah, I gotta close Chrome and then I can reopen. So I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. All right. While he's getting that ready, we're probably gonna start to wrap it up. Let's see what else. Talik, man, I had an idea for you. I was thinking you could do a full review because I don't know if people know, but Talik does videos for Charge Positive, but also for Out of Spec YouTube channel. So Talik, what do you think, man? Are you going to do a full video of the bus?
So the whole full video on the bus build, that's sort of pending discussions which channel that's going to go on to. But in terms of like a review of like driving the bus, that'd be a pretty cool idea. But basically right now, for out of spec, I'm on a per video basis. So basically, I pitch an idea, and if they like it, they say go ahead and make a video. So I can try to pitch it to them, but no guarantees that that'll be like, because they have to find a place to put it, you know, on one of their channels. But I could definitely make a video if it doesn't go on out of spec. I could definitely put it either on my channel or on my Twitter or, you know, on my Instagram or all of the places. Or even the EVLC, you know, I could do a review on the EVLC channel.
Oh,
So
dude, you got to do that. That would be amazing.
yeah, I just need the keys. So as soon as Kevin shows me, I got to watch Kevin's startup video so that I can actually drive the thing. Although it was really fun. You know, Tom said, you know, you were the first one to drive it as a move, but I was the first person to ride while you were the first person to drive. So that was a nice honor. To, you know, we got Did you get that on film, man?
I was, you know, even though I'm in California, I got full jersey on him, and he said, "Oh, did you get that on film?" And he missed one shot. I was like, "What the fuck?" You know.
I wasn't sure if you want me to play that clip. I don't know who our audience is going to be, but
oh, you should tell. I mean, this is a shop teacher audience. I think play it. It's pretty funny.
I do have the clip here. I gotta.
While you're getting it ready, Kevin, tell us about this cart, man. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a 21 Tony Kart 407S chassis, and that's when we brought it home. Typical shift to cart type chassis. It was a rolling chassis, no motor. So added a QS 13890H, and this is mocking up our initial bracket. This is like our V1 bracket. We changed it a little bit, and we have the dimensions so we can cut it out on a plasma table and then just bend it into shape.
CAD, cardboard aided design.
Exactly.
Dude,
There we go.
I tell people all the time, please make it out of cardboard first. No one believes me. Here it is. Does that work or what?
It worked. So that's this is our V1. We changed the design a little bit. So if you want to do an electric cart, we have the motor mount for you. We can just cut as many out on the plasma table as you need.
Oh, that's cool, man.
And
Wait,
then
go back to that for just a second.
yeah.
Kevin, I got to blow you up for just a second. Zoom in, man. We got to do something about these welds, bro.
Oh, I know.
This is
It's
not
brutal.
acceptable. Not
It's
acceptable
brutal.
behavior.
I'm not even going to say it wasn't me. This was my father. This is my father's weekend project while I was away. But
okay, I can help you. Come to
that's why we make it out of one piece now. That's why it's one piece
you should
of
make that
steel,
one.
and then you just fold it.
Yeah, but if you want
Exactly.
welding lessons, please come to my class. Mr.
I'm gonna have to.
Workshop. Yeah,
I
got
should have
you.
known pulling that up.
Oh man, come on. I had to say something because welding and like if
I would have been upset if you didn't.
Yeah, if I don't say anything, then that's not good. Okay. So
I'm
what
just
motor
mocking
is
it
that?
up. This is a QS Motors 13890H.
What is that? What does that all that mean? What is that?
I have no idea, but it's a 4,000 watt motor, rated peak
Oh,
about
are you serious?
14,000.
4,000 watt, dude. That'll pull.
4,000 watt, 14,000 peak.
What?
Yeah, I got videos at the end we can get to.
Let me just tell you. If anybody ever saw my video where I drove Matt Foley's vintage Vespa scooter, that was a 4,000 watt motor with an 8,000 peak. And let me tell you, when you're on it, it pulls, and people are surprised because it's an old vintage piece of junk, Vespa thing. And I don't mean Vespa's bad. I'm just saying it's an old Vespa and it pulls, and that's heavy. This is light. And you're saying it peaks at 1,400. You probably spin tires, right?
Oh yeah, so let's just go right to the videos then.
All right. Let's see this.
I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear the audio, but
Oh man, you're doing donuts, man. That's so funny. It doesn't even leave a mark. That's weird.
yeah, it's hardly even trying. This one is a pretty good one too.
Dude, that seems so cool. Like an electric cart. You just hammer it. Oh, look, you're just sliding out. Oh, you're gone. Imagine you're next to the gas guy and he's like revving up. And you just gone.
Yeah, it'll break them loose from a stop, and you can tune it on the computer, obviously, just like when you're doing a EV conversion on a car.
What controller are you using? Not that I would know, but I'm just curious.
Yep, it's a Voltol EM200 200 amp controller.
Sounds crazy.
So I can pull 200 amps continuous.
200 amps continuous. That's a lot. What about the what did you do for now? I know you set the specs on the battery, but where'd you find this battery?
Yeah, so it's a custom made a Morge battery where I sent them my dimensions and my specs that I wanted, and they built it for me. So if you feel like making your own battery pack, you could totally do that too.
Whoa!
I haven't made a battery pack of that capacity, so I was not going to try it on this go around.
Got it, man. Got it, dude. This is awesome.
I think, yeah, here we go.
Whoa! So they'll make that for you?
Yeah. So basically, you give them the dimensions you're shooting for and your like capacity and your voltage, and they would be like, "Yeah, we can work with that," or "We need to tweak this a little bit." So
I like
this is
that.
what they were able to make for me.
I like that case. That's pretty cool. What about BMS? What are you doing?
It has an Ant BMS on it.
Okay, I don't know that one, but I've heard of it. Yeah, that's the popular one. That's what people say to use.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah.
got stats on it? Can you talk to it through a computer and stuff?
It has a mobile app.
Perfect. Dude,
So
this
if
is
you're
so cool. This is such a cool community, man. I'm glad that we're talking about this. I think we should do a profile, guest ideas coming up. Ali, give us a full explanation of the self-driving. I think we do a Kevin go-kart, review. Tell us how to build one. I think this is pretty cool, man. And then whenever Omar gets his next project going, he could be a guest. This is exciting stuff. You guys are doing great things. This is so cool. And
what kind of cells are in that pack?
18650s.
Just individually, or did you, is it like what series in parallel? What voltage again?
72 volt. They're individual.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's one of the things we want to do here in the LC is that we got donated a full set, a big box of batteries from Jehu, and we want to build that into a power wall. That could be one of our classes.
Totally. And we're doing a Victron off-grid here at the high school. But here's a good example of, I have a photo. Making battery packs is something we did at the EVLC. Kevin, maybe next time you're in town, I don't know if you're out there, you would want to do that. There's Sean working on an 18650 pack that he made that day. And there's Lou. Lou has created this class. He was actually testing all this stuff out. Which is
Kevin, how did you keep the batteries separated? We had to use fish paper. But since you are racing, there's probably more chance of the batteries rubbing together.
Yes. So I didn't build the battery pack. I cracked it open briefly to look at it. I don't know what they put in between there. I watched another video where someone on YouTube tore down their battery pack to see how they assembled it. And it seemed like they used a similar material to put in between the cells. And then there's like a bunch of padding around it. So hopefully it's not too much of an issue bouncing around there. We mounted it pretty securely to the frame. So there's not a lot of horizontal or lateral movement. So it should be no more than a typical like e-bike or scooter build, I would think.
Nice. Cool. Good question, Duke. Yeah, you don't want to crash with those things, or like you hit a bump, it's like bzz, you hear bzz, 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 and you're like, oh god, and then you're losing power. That would not be good.
Yeah, and then a gas guy passes you by.
Gas guy.
And these batteries need they need walls around them because they like to swell up.
Oh, that's that would be the phosphate cells, but the lithium cells, I'm not sure they do that, but they do want to go on. Yeah. Now it's true though. All this stuff is probably, you need more vibration protection on a cart because there's no suspension.
Yeah, exactly. we tried to on our tray, we tried to like rubber coat it to absorb some of that. And if we look at the motor controller side
Oh,
specifically,
here again, I must have kicked you out somehow.
no, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. I closed it. We were concerned about the vibrations for the controller, so we put little rubber isolators that separate it from the chassis, so it gives it a little bit of cushion. This are not the isolators we wound up going with, but the concept is the same. So it keeps it separated from the chassis, so you're not transferring one-to-one every vibration you feel. So we did something similar with the battery pack too, but not as cushiony as this. This is a little bit more sensitive, I would think.
There's did you get them from McMaster Car? There's a pretty good selection in there.
These came from Amazon, but
Okay.
McMaster is awesome. We got
In
other things from
McMaster Car,
McMaster.
but McMaster, you can pick out exactly what type of sandwich. I forget the name of that style. Exactly what you want: the length, the width of the stud, whether you want stud on top and bottom, how thick the rubber is, what type of rubber. It gets really specific. So if you had stuff like that, I've done this with a different project and it worked out really well. You test out a bunch until you're happy, but Amazon is kind of like, you have to like sort through. It's consumer based, but if you want the pro stuff, the McMaster, but I'll have to tell you, you probably know all this stuff. That's cool. All right, well, it's getting a little late and I got to get out of here because they close the school at some point and they'll turn on the silent alarm. I won't even know.
Yeah.
What was what's our audience here? Is this all ages?
Oh, this is a shop class, shop teachers. I mean, we try and stay a little PC, but here we go. Okay, this is a bonus round here.
So
my reaction to him missing some video.
This was context. He had just given his first speech. I got some of your later speeches, but this was like you were like talking to Keanu, like, oh, inspiration, and I was like trying to get the camera set up for our first drive, and then we're ready to roll out of thing, and you're asking me, did you capture that speech? No, it's not, man. Keanu got it. All right.
I was sort of like the F-bomb came out, I was just like, oh, fuck. Yeah. You caught that. You got that. But
well, because that was the beginning of the rolling for the drive. I was getting ready for the drive.
Yeah. No, you know what it is? It's just like I was so excited about that first drive, and then I was like, man, did you capture that? Because I didn't even know he was going to record it, and then he showed me. I was like, oh no, fuck! And he's like, he got that. So Talik loves this. It's funny because the East Coast thing and the West Coast thing are hilarious. There's totally different worlds. I feel like on the West Coast, they're more relaxed and more creative. And then the East Coast, we're wound up and we work really hard. But, and so we might outwork you, but we're not as relaxed and creative as the West Coast people. So if you could somehow combine these two attitudes, you probably got something.
Well, that's why we need to.
You got a problem with that?
Hey, man. Hey, well, Tom, the good news is we can buy new batteries from Ron's swear jar.
Yeah, when I was out there, when I first arrived, I'm hitting the swear jar like every other word, and when I leave, I stop myself from swearing. But then the funny thing is, when I come back here, I don't swear enough, so I can't actually communicate. People don't know what I'm talking about. So I come in hard to California, then I come back real soft, and then it doesn't work. Like if you're not like direct in this area, they don't know what you're saying. They're like, what? And they're not going to wait, So so I have to get into like fighting shape over here, But anyway, yeah.
It's the weed, man.
In California, yeah. Well, we got it here now too. So anyway, very cool. It was nice having everybody together, and I just want to highlight that project and what a cool thing. Let's do this. We're gonna, I promised Ali a recommendation for Tesla, and I'm very late on that. I'm going to write that up, and I think we should all throw in a recommendation on Ali's LinkedIn, and we should definitely help him get a job at Tesla because he deserves it, man. He's doing a lot of work. And Kevin, very cool project. That was a surprise tonight. I didn't know that was coming in. Omar, I know you're going to do good things, man. Keep us in touch. Let us know what's happening. And Talik, reporting all the stuff. Very cool. And yeah, go ahead. What, Ali, you got something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you especially for this bus project because you know there were so many people that had their hands on it and doing different things from all walks of life, all different backgrounds, and you really orchestrated everybody and you pushed and motivated people and got them to really shine. And you know we wouldn't have been able to do it without you. I really appreciate all your work and thank you very much.
Oh. I thank you for saying that.
I
You know,
agree.
guys, I appreciate that. You know, it's funny. I'm not joking. I actually am trained by high school students. You know, like 18. This is my 19th year, but 18 years of motivating high school kids to make amazing projects. You know, we do some amazing things with the kids here, and I got lucky that I had that training coming in, and I just applied it to adults. Basically, we're all just kids, you know, and you just want to like, you got to make people feel comfortable and confident, and you got to go a little bit at a time, like kindling on a fire, you know, and just let people work and do cool stuff. There you go. Look at Talik with his, he's got toys. He's got toys. I have a Matchbox collection. It's like, I got to get it out of storage. Oh, there we go.
Oh, look at that. Oh,
I got that one too. Or I got the big one.
Nice.
So that,
Dude,
when you coming back? When you come back?
November. Are we running a class or what?
yes.
What is happening? We got to get
Yes.
on. We don't even have the meetings. I haven't
Yes.
even had a.
We're going to keep this alive, Ron. And as a way to demonstrate that, I'm encouraging all of the locals to feel free to come around here on Saturdays, just the same way they do at the EV Riders.
Oh yeah.
Very informal, but we've got the building, the rent's paid, the lights are on. Come around on Saturdays and join us.
Nice. And I'll be back there in November and helping them teach another class. And Kev, let me know when you're coming to New York, man. We'll get you a welding class, dude. I got your back.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Duke, thanks for joining as always. Duke's holding up the fort. He's training the middle school kids, so we don't have to teach the ruler when they hit the high school. Thank God.
Struggle is real.
And Maker Camp is coming up. That's a big
Coming up
thing.
2 weeks. We got to do a
Nice.
pre-maker camp.
Wow.
We're going to do a pre-Maker Camp. Maker Camp is, imagine if Maker, what was the other one that just closed recently? Maker, I forget now. But Maker Magazine. Make Magazine used to have these big events. It's like if Make Magazine, their parties grew up and grew a beard or something like that. You know, like there's blacksmithing, welding, printmaking, like old school, like as you know, old school. So it's kind of like making stuff. Yeah.
Welding. Kevin.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin, you
fuck.
should come to New York for this, man. Free welding lessons. It's awesome. All right. We'll see you guys soon next week. And I don't have a topic yet, but we'll get there and we're going to do a bunch of stuff for Maker Camp coming up. So, all right. See you guys soon. And yeah, I'll just end the recording here. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Shop Class
Thanks, Ron.
Podcast. I'm going to end the recording and then we can kind of like, take off.